Hi there. Today we're going to talk about the cosmic fireworks, so mark your calendar during this full moon, which will be in Cancer, 24 degrees, and the sun will be in Capricorn, 24 degrees. We also have a lot of other things going on, so we're going to do a little bit of astronomy and astrology, but mainly astronomy. So you're going to go out around the 13th of January. It's coming up. And you're going to look at the western sky, probably around 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you'll be able to see the most beautiful, bright Venus. And that's why Venus represents beauty and luxury. And to me, it always makes me smile to see such a bright star or a bright planet in the sky. And as a side note, if you're always wondering which lights in the sky are the planets and which ones are the stars, there's a trick to finding out. If you go out at twilight when the sun is setting, the first lights that you'll see in the sky are planets. And those planets will be not stars, they'll be planets. But you'll get a heads up because there won't be any stars visible. The first visible lights will be the planets. Then you'll start seeing the stars. Yes, the stars twinkle. However, sometimes because we're dealing with energy and frequency, and light is waves, so it might appear to be twinkling even though it's a planet, especially if it's further away or it's not as bright. So with this full moon, not only are you going to see a full moon, but you're also going to see Venus, and then you're going to see Jupiter right over your head. So with the western sky, you should be looking west, like straight across, or maybe 30 degrees up, 45 degrees up. But with Jupiter, you're going to look straight up over your head and you'll see that bright, bright planet. And I believe it's retrograde. So whenever the planets are retrograde, they're brighter. You're also going to be able to see Mars. And Mars will be in the southeast portion of the sky. And it's a little red-orange dot. So we're going to see the moon, Venus, Jupiter, right? And then between January 18th and 20th, which is inauguration day, you're going to see, next to Venus, you're going to see Saturn. And Saturn is the last visible with the naked eye planet. After that, you need a telescope or something. And if you have a good set of binoculars, you could see Saturn better. Maybe you could see one of the rings or so, okay? So in astrology, we call this connection when they're close together a conjunction. So Venus and Saturn will be conjunct in the sky. It'll be beautiful. So we're going to have Venus, Mars, the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter all in the sky for your delight. That makes me happy. So now, what does that mean? So we could look and see, what does that mean? Well, this full moon is going to be one of those full moons when maybe you should try new things instead of releasing. The new moon is usually for new things, but the full moon is to release, but not this time because of all the other planets that are lined up with the moon and the sun. So by definition, a full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposite one another. So the sun is like a bright light shining on the round moon, and that's why it's so bright. But as the moon moves, then you get shadows. So then it won't be so full. You'll see a half a moon, crescent moon, and then you won't see any moon. That's called the new moon. And the new moon is 2 weeks after the full moon. So we're dealing with cycles, and I like to sometimes fill in the gaps because there's so much to learn about astrology and astronomy that I may as well share the tips for you. I try to make my videos about 15 minutes because I know everybody's really busy. I'm not a Joe Rogan or Sean Ryan where they could just talk for 2 hours. Um, and I think when you talk about a dry subject like astrology or astronomy, it will really put you to sleep. I've had that happen to me many times. So I'm going to pull up and share the ephemeris so you could take a look, okay? And if you have any questions, please post the questions in the comments section. And if you like what you hear, share it with other people, because my mission is to help educate everyone to understand astrology and hopefully use astrology as a tool. So this is the sky now, which will be the full moon. And by definition, here's the moon, here's the sun, they're opposite one another. So if you have any planets in earth or water sign in 24 degrees, you will be impacted on this very powerful but auspicious, very lucky and favorable full moon. So the sun and the moon have 9 aspects. These lines represent aspects, and that just means that they're in relationship with one another. Well, what does that mean? That means that they're all talking to one another. So it's a very busy time. Lots going on. And remember, every single planet represents an action or activity, and the sign is the characteristic. So we're going to just highlight and look and see that there's a relationship with Mercury, the moon and Mercury. I like to look at the quintiles because they show where there's a little bit of obsession or an urgency to communicate, and to also, it will be emotional or full of feelings type of thinking, speaking, teaching, training, communication, networking. All right. And then we also have some work to do with Venus because it's a quadrant Venus. And that means Venus represents love, money, also luxury items, fashion, and food. And we go down the line, and now the moon is conjunct or together with, right here, Mars. So that means we might have some very impactful and action oriented feelings, maybe some anger, but anger will make you do something. If you get good and mad, you're going to do something about whatever the situation is. And we also have a responsibility with Saturn, and time is of essence. But we might feel like, hey, it's not enough. It might have a negative aspect. It might represent reality. It might also represent setting boundaries and structures, especially with money, okay? Or food, or there might be a food shortage or a money shortage. Saturn is lack or not enough of, okay? But it's in Pisces, so Pisces is the planet of unlimited. So there might be an awakening of, hey, we have unlimited resources if we plug in to the Creator, to God. You see? And then I don't want to skip around. We got Saturn, and then we also have Neptune, and Neptune dissolves, and it's the ruler of Pisces. So it has to do with imagination, dance, art, and meditation, also victimhood. So a lot of these energies are working together. And then we have to remember that the Uranus aspect over here, is excitement, innovation, breaking the rules, being a little weird, being a little different, and sudden and unexpected changes. And then along with the Jupiter, which has to do with big news, big communication, lots of communication, and abundance of it, expansion of it. But if you put it all together, it's the revealing and the awakening of many truths, the whistleblowers and everything else. And when we talk about the planets now in the sky, this is called mundane astrology. It's where these planets impact everyone. But how do they impact you? You have to compare where these planets are to your natal chart. So if you have anything in 24 degrees or 23 degrees in a earth or water sign, like I said before, you're going to be impacted because of all these planets. We have 9 aspects that are impacted with the full moon. So it's new beginnings, and 2025, 2026 is going to be a time frame that we've never seen before in history. Planets have not lined up like this for thousands of years. So what that means, we don't know. But it is going to be exciting, and I urge everyone to plug into your creator, to have your creator be your best friend, and try to talk less to other people, but be more in tune to your creator through meditation or whatever the case may be. And then the last planet is the one with irreversible changes. Things will never be the same. That's Pluto. It ends things. It's the death of something, but only to open up the door for the birth of something else. So it's in Aquarius, and it's going to stay in Aquarius for the next 21 years. And Aquarius has to do with genius, with awakening, with liberation, with the future, with electronics, with high intelligence, scientific stuff. And if you look around, you'll see there are a lot of new inventions coming about. So keep in tune, and write in the comments if you have any questions about this reading or what's going on. But I try to put out these posts for the videos and the blogs once a week on Friday or Saturday, but it's a very fortunate time. And just have your prayers for the people in LA where all these fires are occurring. And it's really interesting how a lot of these Pisces planets are going to move into Aries, which will be a fire sign, and air and fire, open up and escalate. So this Uranus and Taurus, we saw a lot of earthquakes, but then it's going to go into air. So we're going to have mainly, some air and fire signs coming up. But the thing that's very unique about this time frame is these outer planets, the Pluto, the Neptune, and the Uranus planet here. Those are the slowest moving planets, and they're all shifting signs, and that is very powerful. And I haven't mentioned, but there's also aspects to this full moon of self-healing with Chiron. So this is a good time to, if you're impacted, I know I'm going to be impacted with this configuration on my natal chart, but let me know what's happening with your chart and if there's anything you want me to discuss for you so you can learn. All right, we're at 15 minutes and 13 seconds, and we are going to stop. So we're mindful of your time. I love you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.